Hello and welcome to another episode of Walking with Walfinch. We're here at the IFA, the International Franchise Association's annual convention in Las Vegas. The Vegas series, here we go.
Go, go, here we go. Go, go, now here we go. Now, go, go, here we go.
You ain't never ever seen nothing like this.
Go, go, here we go. Go, go, now here we go. Now, go, go, here we go.
You ain't never ever seen nothing like this.
Never have you ever seen something like me.
I thought I'd kickstart the first one myself today in the Vegas series. So, networking. There's going to be lots of that going on over the next few days. What is it about? How to do it? Now, one of the key things I've often thought about business, the one thing, if I had to go back and tell my younger self, focus on this, it probably wouldn't be money. It probably wouldn't be even grit and resilience that I talk about a lot, because that is super important. It also probably wouldn't be necessarily being super educated about a topic and so on. You can learn all of those things. But I think that one thing that I would really focus on is the likability piece. How you can get to know people, make friends, learn people, learn yourself in social situations, and really try to leverage on that. What you learn and glean from sitting down with people, talking to your competitors, your peers, your clients, your customers, and really obsessing over that, that part will absolutely give you more than anything else will. And you might think, well, okay, gosh, it's easy for you to say you seem like a confident enough bloke. But that wasn't always the case for me. Growing up, I was also the same kid that sat on a bench at playground because I didn't really play the video games or wasn't into football and so on. And so making friends for me was a really hard thing. And actually, I suppose the franchising conversation is that I then really learned to systemize it. And I learned how to sort of understand, what is it fundamentally? What is it? I'd look at people who could walk into a room and they were just instantly good with people. They could just get it done and they were great. I thought, well, gosh, so what's different about them that I'm not doing? And I started breaking it down into small processes. And actually, for me, it comes down to a few things. Being trustworthy, so doing what you say you're going to do always. If you say that you're going to be somewhere, then be somewhere. If you say that you can do something, then do something, or communicate it otherwise. The other part of it is, I hear a lot about, and I used to do a lot of this, of, being interested to be interesting. But actually, that works to a certain point, and I think actually it's really sort of going in high energy and really understanding people and really thinking, well, okay, what does this person need? What if I'm talking to staff, for example? One of the things I tend to do is I tend to work on not getting run over for a start. So I tend to work on walking appraisals. And one of the things that I really try to understand there is really about them. Understand them as people, understand what is it that makes them tick. So, is it money? Is it a position? Is it learning? Is it more interesting work? What is it? And really try to get under the hood with that. And understand people's why and try to get there. Now, that's an easy enough thing to do once you've got to know somebody, but very difficult to do when you've got 30 seconds to impress someone and say, I'm making a first impression, what do I do here? So the things that I often think about when I'm trying to make a first impression, and actually I don't think about it anymore because I've practiced it so much, and it has been practiced, that it's become more normal for me. When you get those immediate small talk, really boring questions, how are you, and so on, I really think about, well, how can I answer that thing differently? Or how can I make that interaction slightly more interesting. So instead of fine, let's go in with a high energy response, or let's go in with something real, because I think demonstrating your vulnerability can also really help. I mean, I've been in situations, even with competitors who have become very good friends in the home care franchising space, in the UK even, who have been, great mentors to me, and really sort of shared. If I think about someone like Ken Deary, for example, who I've spent some time with, and who's been very generous with his time, or Trevor Brocklebank. Now, often it's really sort of saying, well, ego's at the door, and my vulnerability is there. I'm really interested in what you've done, how you've done something, and I'd love to learn from that. And sometimes that can be really interesting as well, because what somebody might think is, it's about who kind of comes to the table with that vulnerability first, and you lead the way on that, and therefore set the relationship up accordingly. So thinking about your vulnerability and thinking, well, okay, maybe if I'm talking to somebody and I'm like, hey, I'm not going to overshare, but I am going to go in and say, well, I'm okay, but there's this thing here that I've been working on. I haven't quite been able to get through to that, so that's been problematic. So it's really trying to understand that part of it, I think, can be quite powerful. So when you're in that situation, how am I saying hello? Am I going in high energy, and am I sharing something if I want to drop something in terms of that networking piece? So the other thing I think about is when I am meeting somebody new, is it all just a one-sided conversation? Is it all about me? And sometimes, yeah, that's great, because they're asking pertinent questions and they'd like to kind of get me to talk about that. But actually, other times that's not the situation. Other times they're not that interested. So leaving little kind of hooks along the way can be quite useful. So what I mean by that is, somebody is saying, what are you up to, Amrit? What are you up to over the next couple of weeks? And I'm like, oh yeah, great, I'm off to Vegas for some work. I've got my daughter's birthday, and I've got this new project going on at work. Really, so quite busy. Now it's their choice at that point to say, okay, cool, I'm also very busy, and it's end of conversation. Or I've given them a selection of things to pick and choose from. I've given them things that, I'm basically getting their conversational permission to say, can I continue with this? And can I get you to ask me something else? So I've given you 3 items there, and you can ask me on any one of those items about what it is that that might interest you and what might pique your interest. So you might say, oh, what are you up to in Vegas? And I can then talk about franchising, I can talk about home care, I can talk about podcasting and so on. And you can continue asking those questions. And that's the same thing the other way around as well. People leave subconscious breadcrumbs there for you to pick up on and say, hey, look, let's talk about this. You mentioned that you were going to see a football game. What game was it, and who was there, and so on. So, you can really pick up on subconscious cues with people very early doors. The other thing I think about is body language, and it's something that I started thinking about over the years. Even right now, I'm thinking about, am I too jittery? Because I'm quite arms wavy. But actually staying more composed can also helps calm you down, but also it demonstrates to the other person that you are a more centered person. When you are talking to somebody, rather than, like Batman kind of, you want to turn your body as well, I think sometimes. And it's all of those pieces. So really thinking about how you are communicating with your whole self. Not just the words that are coming out of your mouth, but also your body language as well. And then I think, so that's your likability piece of really, am I making a good first impression? Because that's really hard. But once I've made that first impression, then what? What's next after that? So the thing I often like to do is I really think about, well, I observe my interaction with people, and I think, well, okay, did I like that? How could I have done that better? What have I left this other person thinking and feeling? So then, you think about your own kind of version of that, and was it okay? But actually, the next stage for me often is thinking, well, do I want to continue this relationship? And then making an effort with somebody. And, I've always, and this is where that resilience and that kind of persistence piece comes in. So really constantly trying to make that effort and think, well, okay, I'm really interested in developing this relationship. How do I do that? Do I send them a message? Do I then put something in the diary? So if I've come out to the IFA, I really try to get times in the diary with people so that we can really maximize that time together. People are busy, let's respect their time. And I think really treating those people how you want to be treated. You want some advance notice, you don't want someone kind of landing up on you and so on. So really looking at that piece, I think, is very interesting. And if I went back across all of my businesses and my whole business journey, I'd probably say that relationships and networking may be the most important piece, because you can have all of the capital and you can want to work hard, but actually often it's just about you don't know which direction to run in. And the way that you can really ascertain that quickly is by learning from other people, learning from peers, and not being afraid to say, hey, I don't know something. And actually you might be a competitor of mine, or you might be a few years ahead of me, or whatever it might be. But actually I'd really love to learn from you. And so really going in with that open mindset is super important. So I think, it's a important piece that I think often think about when I come out here. When I came out here a few years ago, I didn't know anybody. I sort of rocked up and walk into this massive room like, oh gosh, this is a bit awkward. But actually, over time, what then happens is that you start to develop relationships, because you keep up with those relationships and you make friends with people and you interact with your business associates as you would with friends, and think, well, okay, how would I behave in this situation if this was a friend of mine? And that is a super important way to actually look at it. So we're going to call that a wrap today, and we're here at the Mandalay Bay for the IFA convention. It's another episode of Walking with Walfinch. I'll report back with all of the things I have learnt and everyone that I have met. Thank you for tuning in.